Well, Senator Elizabeth Warren is rising in Democratic presidential polls, but an op-ed in the New York Times suggests that she may have trouble with a key constituency. A New York Times column titled, "Does Elizabeth Warren Have a Critical Vulnerability?" It focuses on Warren's supposed struggles with white working-class voters, the same voters needed to win crucial presidential swing states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. And the piece cites Warren's past failures to win over voters in working-class neighborhoods, particularly those in central Massachusetts, her own state, as well as the state's North Shore. Well, Warren did handily defeat her Republican Senate challenger back in 2018 by a margin of 60% to 36. However, another Massachusetts Democrat, Attorney General Maura Healey, outperformed Warren in her own statewide election. Well, Healey won nearly 70% of the vote, including all of the North Shore working-class neighborhoods. Alex Thompson covers Elizabeth Warren's campaign and the 2020 race for Politico, and he joins me now. So is Warren's team concerned about connecting with white working-class voters?
I mean, this is a central question, not just of her candidacy, but of the entire electability argument that Democrats are grappling with. Now, what Warren's campaign will say is that they were comfortably ahead in that Senate race in 2018, and they decided to hold on to an extra $10 million that they could then transfer into their presidential fund and give themselves an advantage in the 2020 race rather than trying to run up the score. Now, that may also just be a convenient narrative for them, considering that they did underperform Attorney General Healey. But the problem with this argument is we really don't know, partly because there's a very small sample size. And as voters go, she's only been in 2 elections her entire life, and one was against an incumbent. So it is a central question looming over not just her candidacy, but which candidate is best equipped to win the Rust Belt back away from Donald Trump. And this is a question that I'm sure she's going to be asked again.
So why do you think it is her economic message isn't resonating with these voters?
Well, you know, I would say that, you know, I've been on the trail with her when she's in small places like Kermit, West Virginia, where, you know, it was a county that went 80% for Trump. And, you know, she got a very good reception when she was out there. Now, whether or not that translates when you can't be in front of every single person, and whether or not attacks that she's an elitist, that she spent 20 years as an Ivy League professor, that she is out of touch, you know, whether or not those messages and those attacks penetrate on a national level when she's not in a room talking to people at a town hall, that's going to be a really interesting question and debate that's going to play out on national television and, you know, over if not the next 6 months, the next 18 months.
I want to play an exchange that Warren had with Late Show host Stephen Colbert. He pushed Warren on if her Medicare for All plan will actually raise taxes on the middle class.
Are you going to raise the middle class taxes?
So here's how we're going to do this. Costs are going to go up for the wealthiest Americans, for big corporations.
Taxes, what do you mean by cost?
Yeah. Okay. And hard-working middle-class families are going to see their costs go down.
But will their taxes go up?
Well, but here's the thing.
Here's the thing. I've listened to these answers a few times before, and I just want to make a parallel suggestion for you about how you might defend the taxes that perhaps you're not mentioning in your sentence. Isn't Medicare for all like public school?
So, you know, actually,
there might be taxes for it, but you certainly save a lot of money on sending your kids to school. And do you want to live in a world where kids aren't educated? Do you want to live in a world where your fellow citizens are dying, even if it costs a little bit of money?
So I accept your point, and I believe in your point. Healthcare is a basic human right. We fight for basic human rights, and that's Medicare for all. Everyone gets covered.
Okay, so she managed to dodge the question there, you know, even though Colbert was pushing her on it. And then she went on to actually criticize the insurance industry. She's avoided this answer in the past, but, you know, her fellow progressive Bernie Sanders has come to say that Medicare for all will raise taxes on the middle class. He's admitted it. He's been forward and admitted that. Why won't she give a straight answer on this?
Because she doesn't want to say that she's going to raise taxes, and whether or not she can get away with it will be interesting. And, you know, the way she's trying to frame it is that, yes, maybe taxes will go up, but your costs in healthcare will go down. So your total out-of-pocket costs are actually going to go down. Now, she doesn't quite go out and say it and guarantee it, because it's very hard to guarantee that for every single person that's not in the upper tier of the income brackets, it's really, really difficult to guarantee that every single person's costs are going to go down. This is a very tricky issue. You know, the last 9 months, she's done this very delicate, careful dance around Medicare for all. She only really fully embraced it in June, and then now she's having to defend some of its unpopular parts. And that's, you know, you're seeing sort of this tricky dance. Now, whether or not she's able to sort of power through it the way that she's done the last two or three months will be interesting. I imagine that other candidates and interviewers are going to continue to press her on this, and we'll see if her answer evolves at all.
You know, it's always interesting, too, to see how Democrats stand with Obama. You've reported a bit on Warren's time in the Obama administration. What was her relationship like with President Obama, and do you think that'll help at any point in this campaign trail?
I mean, her relationship was tense. I mean, the whole reason that Elizabeth Warren is a senator now, where she became sort of a star of the left, was not just in her attacking the banks, but in attacking the Obama administration's response to the financial crisis, which she had suggested was too cozy with the banks, that cared more about saving the biggest banks and didn't show nearly the same urgency when it came to helping homeowners, helping small banks. And so, you know, the fact is that she and President Obama have very different, you know, they have different outlooks on Democratic economic policy. And I think you're going to see this probably play out most distinctly with her and Vice President Biden, because the truth is that a Biden administration and a Warren administration, particularly in economic policy, would look very, very different.
Alex Thompson, so grateful you could join us, Alex. Thank you again.
Hey, thanks.